Good?
Yeah.
Oh,
Actually, it's a prison call. You want to take it?
I don't want to take the prison call. You could take the prison call. I feel like you're that dude.
Let me see who it is
All right,
first.
do that. Do that.
If it's someone that...
Currently, you have a prepaid call from
Nice.
Mike Wolfel. In India, the Avenel State Prison, Avenel, California.
He shares with me the impact, but he did the work.
Right.
He did the work, with the internal work, and he earned his freedom. I didn't do nothing. Him and his lawyer are prepared, and he'll be good. He's got a good head on his shoulders.
And that's why I like to tell these stories, because a lot of people don't think that people in those situations earn their freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling you when we initially had our conversation, like that's the purpose of the show, the format of it is like to help people, and like the name of the podcast, The Damage Done. Like everyone sitting here, I'll include you too, has done some, let's call it, damaging things in life. And when people do such like heavily damaging things and then can go to the other side of things, there's a huge arc and there's a huge story for that. And whether you're just a regular Joe or someone that's been incarcerated before, there's a map to doing better. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we're back doing here. Sure, now that you're listening and watching, you can notice Mike's not here. Scheduling conflicts. He's not here today. But Caesar is here, and Serafin. That's like, I said it like the full white boy, like Serafin before. But then you're like, I'm Serafin. I was like, all right, cool. Yeah. And so that's where we're at. And so we're going to be back on the redemption tip here. My favorite type of stories to talk about. And I don't know if you guys remember Caesar from I don't know, over a year ago, he was on one of the episodes, one of my favorite ones. And if you just wanted to, both of you guys basically right now, just say what's up, introduce yourselves, and then we'll get to chatting about you if that sounds good.
Yes. So my name is Caesar. Yes, I did the podcast a little bit over a year ago.
Right.
I believe it was my first podcast ever.
I think you told me that.
So I was super nervous, weird, but it was great. It was my first one. I got it out the way, and I really enjoyed the feedback that was from that podcast. That was really great. So that's why I wanted to bring my buddy here, and I'm here in support of him because we're here to hear his story.
Of course.
And I'm here to support my buddy Serafin here.
And my name is Serafin, as you all know, and this is actually my second podcast. I did my first one approximately a month and a half ago or so.
Okay.
So I'm kind of new to this as well. But I'm here to share my story, and hopefully it'll serve to inspire someone that was once in my situation, and hopefully help them turn their life around as well.
Of course. And so you said once was in your situation. So we always start off talking about what was your situation? What does that situation look like?
Well, I grew up in South Central Los Angeles in the 70s as a child, a teenager in the 80s, right at the height of the crack cocaine epidemic, and I actually watched my whole community transform by that drug, where it was being ravaged. It was like cutthroat. There was like stealing and robbing and anything. Homelessness went on the rise sharply there in my community. And I got involved in dealing drugs, cocaine. I wanted some money in my pocket and I wanted it fast, and I started getting involved in that. And of course, with that came my participation in violence. I never really joined an official gang, quote unquote.
Right.
But I was doing everything that gang members do. I was fighting. I believe this was my territory. This was my block. And those few individuals that I associated with. That's how we felt. We behaved and we walked and we did everything as gang members. We just didn't have a name to our group. But
right.
We lived that lifestyle. And at 17 years old, I got charged with murder. And I went to juvenile hall. And right at 18 years old, got sent to Men's Central Jail, LA County Jail.
Right.
and I was fighting this murder charge. I got convicted of it at 18 years old, and I was sent to the California Youth Authority, and the judge allowed me to stay there during sentencing until I was 25, after which I would be transferred to the California Department of Corrections.
Mm.
However, it didn't work out like that. I only lasted 8 months in the California Youth Authority because of getting involved in violence. And so what happened was when I was being transferred to the California Youth Authority, I got sent all the way up to an institution called the Preston School of Industry.
Okay.
And it was located in Iona, near Stockton, and Sacramento. So there was the gang dynamics there at that institution was Sureños, Norteños, North and South, right? Which was something that I was totally unfamiliar with.
Really?
Yeah.
Even growing up in South Central, just didn't like.
I had never heard about Norteños or anything like that.
Okay.
So
Hey, same here.
Yeah, you too.
Same here. Never.
Isn't that more Bay Area?
Yeah. So
But I feel like I'm white. I've heard about that, man. I don't know.
now you probably heard.
Now.
No, I'm talking about back in the day. It
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
really known like North and South. It was just
So that became as a shock to both of you guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it did.
And you know what? While I was in juvenile hall and the Southern Reception Center in Norwalk, which was the Youth Authority, I was programming exceptionally well. I didn't have no problem, was not involved in any fights. And I was there for about 9 months between the two, juvenile hall and the California Youth Authority, as well as a year in the county jail. Not a single fight or anything, because I wasn't from part of a gang, so I didn't have any enemies there, right?
Okay.
And of course, there was a lot of violence in those facilities. Gang members fighting each other, because they were local enemies.
Right.
However, when I got sent up north, the whole dynamics changed. Now, getting off the bus, there was staff there at Preston, and they asked me, "Are you a Southerner or Northerner?" And I actually happened to ask, like, "What do you mean?"
Right.
And the person said, "Are you Sureño or Norteño?" And again, what do you mean by that? And the person said, "Well, what county are you coming from?" I said, "I'm from LA County." "Okay, you're a Sureño."
Yeah.
And I was segregated with Sureños. That's who they classified me right then and there, coming off the bus
Fresh off.
as a gang member. That's how I was classified. And so they housed me with Sureños. And then at that time, the Sureños were segregated from the Norteños. The Norteños were out on the general population, and the Sureños were in a sort of like administrative segregation because of conflicts between the two groups.
Right.
And they were planning to modify the program where they would eventually start releasing a few Sureños back onto the general population, see if they could integrate us.
They're
So-
just gonna take a gamble to see if you guys would get along.
Yeah,
Damn,
that's basically what it was.
it's crazy to me.
Yeah, and so I was there and segregated for about a month, but during that month, I mean, I got schooled by the Sureños. Okay, this is how it's going. This is what's going on right here. It doesn't matter that you're not from a gang or anything. The fact that you're from Southern California, the Norteños, they're going to look at you as a Sureño, and you're their enemy. So that's when I made the decision. Okay, then that's what I am, and that's how I'm going to roll. And I did it, and I kind of like overcompensated
Okay.
to try to, and that was because I was my character defect was insecurity. So I'm trying to fit in, right? And so I felt that I needed to go above and beyond to really feel accepted by my new peers, my new gang. And I started doing acts of violence, volunteering. I'll do it. After 3, the administration said, "You know what? You're not amenable to programming here. We're going to send you out to the adult prison." And that was after 8 months I was there in Preston. And so,
Damn.
yeah, at 19
That's
years,
fucked.
at 19 years old, I was in Chino now, which is the reception center, waiting to see what level 4 prison, and I didn't even know about the different levels of prisons, right? Until I got there at the reception center. Counselor asked me, where do you want to go to do your time? And I was trying to choose an institution closest to home because I have a large family, very supportive. They were visiting me.
Of course.
I get visits and everything. So my counselor says you only have 3 options. It's Tehachapi, which is maybe like 110 miles, maybe.
About 2 hours.
2 hours?
Yeah,
2.5 hours from LA.
from LA. So that was my first option, and then the second option was New Folsom, which was way up there in Sacramento.
Mm.
So I told my counselor, I'll choose Tehachapi first, and I'll alternative choice New Folsom. And my counselor, I said, okay. And my counselor said, do know that there's a possibility that you could be sent to Pelican Bay State Prison. It's a prison that's just barely opening, and it's in Crescent City. Where is that at?
Yeah,
It's by the Oregon border.
Right.
I'm not trying to go over there.
Right.
And I had been hearing rumors about that prison because it was just opening, and the rumors were to the effect that it's 24-hour lockdown. The shower rolls in front of your cell, and you just walk into the shower, and then once you're done, you go back into your cell. The shower rolls on to the next cell. That's the kind of rumors that were going on.
That sounds miserable.
Yeah. And I was like, man,
Well, what year was this?
1989. I was 19 years
Were you
old.
born already?
Now 90. That's
Oh, you're
it,
like
man.
what?
You're experiencing all this wild shit before I was a thought.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. Fuck.
So I'm hearing,
You know what I mean?
I'm hearing all these rumors about that prison and that it was going to be for the worst of the worst. I mean, excuse my language, but the fuck ups,
Right.
And so I thought, like, well, I'm just barely coming to the system. There's no way they're going to send me there. And when I got my endorsement for the transfer, I'm reading it and it says Pelican Bay.
Mm-mm.
And I'm like, damn.
That's because of the nature of your initial crime and then you overcompensating at the previous place because you were participating in violence. It says this guy's too violent for
Yeah,
anywhere but that place.
that's exactly.
So
I mean, I got expelled from the California Youth Authority for violence, for gang involvement.
Yeah, it's probably hard to get expelled from that shit now. I know how people get expelled from school, but like fucking, they're like, yo,
Yeah.
so crazy.
So I went and talked to my counselor, and I said, "What happened? Why am I being sent to Pelican Bay?" And he said, "My supervisor overruled me and said that this prison was built for people like you, worst of the worst."
But that make you feel like when you were labeled as worst of the worst at 19 years old? Did it matter to you at that point?
I thought, like, what do you mean worst of the worst? This is my this was my thought process. Like, this is my first time being incarcerated. How am I the worst of the worst?
Right.
I thought that was for like people that been in and out of prison, incorrigible, I mean, I haven't even been given a first opportunity yet to get out and, see if I will ever return,
Right.
But that's what I was told. And I got there just like 2 days after Christmas. I get there in 1989, and it was, I was feeling a sense of anxiety and fear because I was hearing all these rumors about the violence, or the nature of the individuals that are going to be housed there, like very violent people. And I got there, and right away, the Southerners approached me and started explaining the rules and the politics and all that to me. And you know what? I fell in line.
Fast?
Yeah. I felt you have to.
Yeah. No other choice or it's over.
You have to.
Right.
And so I knew right away, and I felt it, that it was much more serious than the California Youth Authority, what was going on in there, right? And then, within the first 2 weeks, I started seeing it for myself, like the stabbings, you would have a stabbing and then go on lockdown for 2 weeks, come back out to another one, another lockdown, and it just went on like that.
Just constant stabbing.
Yeah.
Like all the rumors were true.
Yeah.
Except for the shower rumor.
Except for
Was
the
that true?
That except for the shower rolling in front of you, so that wasn't true.
That's actually in a prison in Colorado, right?
ADX.
The ADX.
The ADX.
Yeah, Florence.
Yeah.
Florence State Prison.
He knows about Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
We can get that later.
We'll talk about that later.
So I got involved in the politics there, and then 11 months in there, I was sent on a mission. My first stabbing there.
See, I'm so innocent. When you said you fell in line, I thought that meant you became a model inmate. I didn't realize you fell in line with a gang. Right. I mean, I thought you were like, cooking and doing the nice stuff.
Yeah,
No.
good boy.
I'm such a moron.
It was clear to me that arriving there, it was clear to me that that was a participating yard. By that, it's like you have no choice. To stay here, you have to participate.
And when you say no choice, it's like no choice, not like, hey, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to die if you don't do some things.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you try to leave, you can leave, but the reason you're leaving is going to follow you, wherever you go. And I'll explain that.
Mm-hmm.
So, 11 months into my stay there, I committed a stabbing. I went to the Whole, what they call the Whole administrative segregation. And I was there 2 months when a cellmate, they gave me a cellmate that had just been stabbed on the general population.
Mm.
And I received word right away that he cannot stay. And by that, I had to stab him.
You got to stab your own cellmate.
Yeah. And
Fuck, that's heavy.
that was probably I got to know him that whole day he was there.
Wait, hold on. Can I interrupt for a second? So you did the first stabbing,
Yeah.
and you got sent to the Hole, and you had to do a stabbing, what you're already in segregation for.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. I just had to get that clear. It wasn't the same thing. It was two different ones, back to back.
How do they communicate with you when you're in the hole? Like, how do you get that order?
I mean, it could be done verbally. It could be done through a little kite, what they call kite.
Right.
Little note, written in a piece of paper or something.
Yeah.
You either fish it or someone passes it along to you,
Mm-hmm.
So that day I got to meet my cellmate, and he was a cool dude.
Mm.
I actually liked him,
Right.
But whatever he went afoul from the politics, and I didn't even know what it was at the time. He didn't know, and
So you both didn't know.
yeah. So
Confusing.
I didn't know, and
Yeah.
he said he didn't know. But anyway, that was a sleepless night for me, because thinking about what you're gonna do, and I had already planned. Okay, I'm gonna do this the next day,
Right.
because I had a shank stashed in my cell. I
Right.
had it, and particularly for like this type of reason, if something like this, I knew I was going to have to do something like that. And so that was a sleepless night, full of anxiety. And because I weighed about 140 pounds, and this guy was clearly over 200 pounds, and we had weights back then. this guy, I mean, he was pumped up and everything, And so while I'm trying to sleep, I'm thinking like, if I mess this up, and he overpowers me and takes this shank from me, I'm done.
It's over.
Yeah. So you can imagine, like, damn, the anxiety that I'm feeling, you know, and I'm not thinking about, you know what, it didn't cross my mind. I'm not gonna do it, and I'm just gonna tell the guards and like save both of ourselves, you know, because one of the reasons is that, well, he just got stabbed off the yard.
Right.
Did they protect him? No,
Not in this situation that I'm being
Right?
told.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Yeah, so it's in my mind like, if I leave with him, I'm just gonna go. They're gonna place me on another yard, and that's gonna follow me, you know.
And then
So,
you're gonna have a cellmate that's
Yeah.
gonna want to.
yeah. So that wasn't an option for me.
You were a lifer at this already? At
Yeah,
this
I was
point?
sentenced to 27 years to life.
Okay.
27
So when you're
Yeah.
18, 19, that's what you got hit with.
Yeah.
Okay.
At 18, 27 years to life for first degree murder.
And do they tack on that 27 side of things if more violence happens?
Actually, these two cases, they were picked up by the Del Norte County District Attorney's Office. And I went to court. I was arraigned for them. And I was expecting to get sentenced for both of those. But they were dismissed. And I believe they were dismissed because the victims weren't willing to testify.
Right.
Not that they needed them, because it was done in front of guards, you know. But I guess they had, by then the county had received so many cases from Pelican Bay, like they were like picking and choosing. Like, if you're a lifer, like, why even bother?
Right.
Yeah, let's prosecute the guys that aren't lifers, that have a release date.
Right.
That's what was going on over there.
That makes sense.
And so anyway, the next day I went on and did that, and fortunately enough for me, what I feared didn't happen, you know.
Right.
And unfortunately for him, what happened to him, you know. So I got into a couple of fights while I was there in ADSEG, and finally the administration said, like, get this guy out of here, send him to the SHU. Because right there in ADSEG, we still had group yard. We went to the yard with other
That's what I was about to ask you, because in like my mind's eye, I'm thinking everything's basically like the shoe in ADSEG at that point in time. Because
Yeah.
I was like, man, you just had to get off on your cellmate inside the cell, but it was outside of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so they wanted to send me to the SHU where it was more secured in terms of going out to a cell. I mean, the yard by yourself, or if you have a cellmate, with your cellmate, but not with anyone else. And right there in that seg, you could go to yard with others. And I had been into a couple of fights on the yard, a couple of mini riots there as well, with rival gang members. And so finally, the administration just was fed up and said, send this guy to the SHU. I hadn't even been assessed a SHU term, but they were just sending me over there to house me over there to keep me from committing further violent acts. And that's what happened. So I ended up, they gave me a 36-month SHU term for the 2 stabbings, and then for a group assault while I was in ADSEG on the yard. It was a total of 36 months. And I got myself involved in reading the what is called a Title 15. It's the book with all the regulations for the California Department of Corrections.
Right.
And I just started like getting into it, and I saw that I realized the SHU term that they gave me was too much, because I hadn't been assessed a SHU term yet when I committed the other 2 SHU term offenses.
Okay.
So they have to run them concurrent. If that's the situation is like that, they have to run them concurrent. So I filed a grievance form, and I was successful. And the counselor said, yeah, you know what? We weren't supposed to give you your SHU terms consecutively. They were supposed to run concurrent.
No shit.
So from 36 months, it dropped down to 24 months.
That's still a lot of motherfucking time.
Yeah. So I was able to get out for those incidents in 2 years. And
What was the difference like between the ad seg or the I guess the general population there in the shoe? Like what is the difference? Just to like paint that picture.
well, there's just more freedom on the general population.
Right.
You get to go out. You have access to the larger main yard, which has a field probably as large as a football field.
Okay.
Yeah, and you had access to that whole yard, and they had weights out there, and those were like mainly the main things. Oh, and you can walk to the mess hall.
Got it.
Whereas in ADSEG or in the shoe, you get fed in the cell.
Mm-hmm.
So those were like the main differences, and of course, contact visits versus visits behind a window.
Okay. So
I mean, sometimes you also want to be, you'd rather be in the shoe than in the hole, because in the hole you don't have nothing. You have books, you have stuff like writing stuff. But when you're in the shoe and you're given a shoe of 36 months, you can have a TV.
You can have
You can either choose to have a TV or a radio,
right.
right? Because you're going to be there. So normally at sex, you just go there until they figure out what they're going to do with you, either ship you out or give you a shoe term or kick you back out to the line. So that's the difference between the hole and the shoe. You have more appliance. And then everything changes too, because like you won't get packages in the hole. Like you can't get a package.
Right.
If you're in the shoe, you get is it 3 or 2 a year? Every 6 months, right? You get a package.
Yeah, now it is. I think you get 2 now.
Yeah.
In the shoe. Before it was just 1 package a year.
And then it'll be a 30-pound package with like some clothes and some coffee, some goodies, right? Some food. When in the hole, there is none until. So sometimes you don't want to be like if people do like what he was doing, like just go to the hole and let's get this over with, and either kick me back out to the line or send me to the shoe. Sometimes it does suck because let's say you've been on the line for like, I don't know, a few years, and you accumulated like a bunch of CDs and, well, back then it was cassettes, right?
Cassettes.
Back then it was cassettes and CDs and a CD player, and you have you have all your stuff that you've accumulated, right? Well, once you go to the shoe, all that stuff is gone. It gets sent home.
No shit.
Except for the TV or the radio, whatever you're going to keep. If you go to the hole, then they'll just hold it for you until you get back out, and then they'll give it back to you. But you go to the shoe, all that stuff,
It's over.
it's over. You got to start all over from scratch.
And that shit's everything in there, huh?
Yeah. Music is, if you're a music fan, that's what keeps you motivated. That's what keeps you going. TV's all right, but it's mostly the music. Mm-hmm. Mostly the music. You work out music. You
could probably think
walk around
more
the
clearly
yard with the music, with the headphones on, and so yeah, it's a big difference. Damn. And it's crazy because right now when he was sharing about it, sort of triggered me. Like I remember going to the hole, and I remember seeing the cellie that I walked in there with. He was all lumped up in the back, and I was like, oh my God, don't tell me this guy's a victim. Like, because I'm already gonna wait. I'm already waiting for that word, right? Like, oh, that fool's no good. Like, get him out. Like, you got to take off on him. But it wasn't. As soon as he had a shirt off, so as soon as I started seeing those lumps in his back, and I was like, bro, like, what's up with all those lumps? He's like, oh no, right here, because I was in high desert. He's like, oh, right here. He goes, when you get off in the yard, he goes, you can't get off of them until they shoot Bertha on you. So when they shoot the big Bertha, that's when you get off. So this fool was putting in work in the yard. So he's a big dude. So the big dudes is the ones they send first because they know that they want to show their strength.
Right.
So this guy was just getting hit with Bertha back, left and right. So he had all his lumps in the back. So that was a good thing that I didn't walk into a cell that the guy was, got fucked up, because that would have been bad for me. But
much different than that anxiety. I was just like,
fuck yeah.
thinking of that anxiety, that sleepless night and shit. It was way bigger than me. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
And you liked him.
That's what's fucking
And you
crazy.
liked the guy, and you had to. Oh man, that's fucked. How they put people. Sure, he's not one of one in these types of situations. Where it's like, this is what that system is making you into. The worst. You weren't the worst of the worst, but these situations will make you appear as if you are. Right?
Yeah, and you're basically in survival mode.
Every moment,
every day, every second, survival mode. The only time you feel comfortable is when they rack that gate and that bar goes down and that door is just officially locked. That's when you're just like,
At nighttime?
And that's
Yeah, at nighttime.
for people who don't think about prison. That's the anxiety is the door closing, but you don't realize that's when the anxiety goes away.
That's
Yeah.
when it
Damn.
goes away.
Yeah.
It's
That's,
wild.
that's when you're just, you can let your
Yeah.
guard down. You can kick off your shoes.
And breathe.
And just breathe, man. Because every time you step into the yard, it's just like, man, is it going down today? Like, and then you see people getting, like we used to always say, there was a saying that said, everybody's out here getting ready for a war that's never going to happen. But that's not true. Because there's times that it could be in the basketball court, it could be in the canteen line, could be in the package line, people cutting. You know, all it takes is just one dude from a different race that somebody feels disrespected from the other race, and you know,
And then there's bloodshed.
and then it's just crazy, bro. You're just enjoying the yard, you're buffing, you're walking the yard, you're playing the sport, and next thing you know, you just hear the guards like, as soon as you get down, you can't get down. You got to just start looking. You got to look around because it might be right behind you. So you got to look and see, and if it's your own. But then you got to run, and
Participate.
jump in there. But if it's not, you just get out the way. Just let what's going to happen. So it's horrible.
How do they think people are going to be rehabilitated living like that? I don't know what the alternative is, but that certainly doesn't sound like, hey, man, we're just going to make better people.
I mean, forget rehabilitation. Like they created the whole situation. I mean, if you read about how crack got into the neighborhoods, came from the government, and then you got to choose that you're a serene. I mean, the whole you were built into this.
Yeah.
And I don't the fact that you don't even come across as a bitter person is remarkable.
Yeah.
And then you're introduced to this as a teenager. You know, when you're most thinking is irrational.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think of myself at that age. I think of my young siblings at that age right now. Like thinking of like when you're talking like my little brother, 18, 19 now, just like having to live like that. I'm like, yo, this is a child. You know, if it says teen or you're legally declared an adult,
Yeah.
children. I'm 32. I still feel like a damn child. So it's like, that's just wild to me.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing is that the organization that him and I work for today is a lot of laws are being changed now
Right.
where they can't send kids to prison like they were before. I remember I was in High Desert and there was these 14, 15-year-old kids that were landing in the yard. Now, they would not sell them up with adults. They would sell them up with other teens.
But they're still
But they were
interacting
there.
in the yard?
Yeah, they were in the yard with us. They were there, you know. So they're just looking at all this stuff going down, and it's just, it messes you up, man. It messes you up. And there's so many people today in prison that would have an opportunity to come home today because of the way the laws changed, but because they made some mistakes in the past as kids when they came in, when they felt like, you know, I'm scared. I got to do this. If they ask me to do something, I'm going to do it. I don't want to be looked at as scary and weak.
Right.
So I'm going to do it. And, you know, same fears that Serafin was talking, because let's say he kills this guy. He wouldn't be sitting here right now.
There's no way. And that was certainly a possibility.
Yeah.
I'm sure you weren't being nice, trying to like, oh, hold on, let me get you there.
Yeah.
Let me get you here. Like that's
No,
that's just what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I wanted to be the one that comes out of that cell alive, you know. So I had to do whatever I could do to make sure that was going to be the fact that I came out of that cell alive, you know. So if that meant executing, eliminating him, that's what I was trying to do. You know?
That's a possibility you've accepted.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the anxiety, back to that again, of like, okay, you're thinking about it, you like the guy, you're considering like my life might be on the line, and then it's just like from being in your head about it to taking action, like that mental jumping off point is like a wild thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens so often where the guy that needs to be removed or checked or whatever from the yard, they always go to the guy that's closest to him. So me and Serafin could be like really good friends, like really tight. Like we're always buffing together, walking the yard together, chilling together. And then they come and tell me, hey, Serafin's got to go. And you're the one the closest to him. So, because he's comfortable with you. So and I've seen that so many times where it's just like, what? Like, no way. Like, yeah, he's got to go. Like,
They say that in Donnie Brasco.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, they make Pacino kill his best friend or whatever.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know if he actually does it, but yeah, it's always your best friend.
man.
It's always your best friend.
Yeah. That's what sucks, bro. Like he said, like you like the guy, and then they tell you to go. get them off the yard. And you're like, fuck, man, Jesus.
I don't even know how I would like want to prepare. I mean, you have to figure it out, right? It's not even like I'm thinking probably rationally right now. You're probably like in some animalistic mind state where it's just like decide. That's it. What happens?
Wouldn't make friends.
Yeah, but I feel like you need friends up in that joint, no?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
You need associates.
The
more
thing
than
is that the people that you think you're friends are like,
There's the
it
same
might
one-
not be.
same one that'll
'cause they're
kill you.
Quick to, but then again, you do come across some good ones. Like you do come across some rights. And it all depends too on the individual. The individual's not doing wrong and he's good and you're good. But, a lot of times a lot of guys come from different yards or different prisons and shit follows them.
How long does it take, or does it ever go away with your social interactions with people outside? Like, is there like a little bit of a Terminator goggles when you're looking at people, kind of sizing them up?
Well, I would say one thing that prison does teach you is you learn how to read people, right? So if someone lands in the yard and they're really loud and obnoxious and just bringing all this attention to them, then that's, like, okay, I'm not hanging out with this guy.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to entertain it because, it's not going to be good for him. They're going to put him probably on the first. They're going to put his name on the list really quick to go do something and get him out of here because he's bringing so much attention. It's the quiet ones. It's when they say that, like, it's the quiet ones that. So you learn how to read people, and 9 times out of 10, you just gravitate towards the ones that are sort of similar to you, and then you just learn to trust a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, because it could be.
I mean, I recall the mess hall right there in Pelican Bay was it was stressful going to eat there, and especially if you're at the seat, the table, and your seat is your back is facing where the window where they're picking up the trays, and your enemies are going to be walking right behind you, and sometimes you're eating like this with the corner of your eyes over here. Yeah, that was stressful right there.
That's 3 times a day.
Because I've seen it where
Wild.
I've seen it where actually right at the chow line, right when someone's about to get their tray, they move on somebody right where you're sitting at right there. Damn.
God.
It was crazy too. Like sometimes you're playing like sports, right, and you scrape yourself up. Let's say you have like some gashes or something, playing handball, something on your arms or anywhere you have scratches, right? And then somebody gets hit right next to you, and they'll be like, "All right, like this whole area right here, like start checking them for marks." And you've had this mark from 2 days ago, and just because you have that mark, oh yeah, you're one of them. You're it. You're the one that did it because they don't know who really did it.
It's already scabbed
they'll
over.
just put it on you.
Still blame them.
So one of the things that they started doing was like any mark that you get when you're coming off the yard from playing sports or working out, report it. Like make sure you go report it. And people will be like, "Hey man, I got this at the basketball court." Like don't. I got this at the handball court right here. Like don't. Make sure you log it in there that this is today's date at this time. I'm logging this in. So that's how you have to be. You have to be so self-aware because there's times that stuff goes down. I mean, you have so much time in a cell to scheme, to come up with how am I going to get Mason?
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Every time he sits down in the jaw, he's facing one way. So I'm going to creep up from the back. And then as soon as I'm out, I'm going to get lost in the crowd. I'm just going to, use a razor blade, slice him in the neck, and I'm out. And sometimes the victim doesn't even know who the hell hit him. Because sometimes the guy that hits him will leave, and then they'll have 2 other guys jump on him, start beating him up. You know? And they can't find the weapon because the weapon is gone. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's crazy.
Just that
bro.
constant anxiety all day.
Do you even think about even the anxiety about eating? Like when you're eating, you're supposed to. That's like your brain telling your body you're not in danger. I've seen things on the internet. It's like, oh, man, if you're nervous, chew gum because it tells your body that you're not in danger. And this is like posted looking at that, like it's like your whole wiring's fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just coming out into the regular world. I mean, you got to dial it down a notch and like relax a little bit. And that's got to be a tough transition.
Yeah. Well, that's just why I've always shared, and I don't want to begin in this. This is an interview.
I know. One
of the things that I've always shared with when I first met Serafin, he was actually one of my students when I used to go back into Ironwood.
Oh wow.
And I used to always tell him like, because I used to go into level 3s and 4s, right? So even the guys in the level 4 yards, I was like, the reason that it's sometimes difficult for you guys to get found suitable to come home is because you guys are still in the level 4 yard. Now it's more often, but before it was like never seen somebody from a 4 yard to parole. And when you're in a level 4 yard, your defense mechanism is up here, like it's high. It's, it's really, so as you start moving down levels, right? Level 3, it's a little bit more loose. Level 2, it's like it's really loose. And that's why I used to always say it's important for these guys to get down to a level 2 so they can get used to the madness. When you're able to live around the madness in level 2, that means you're ready for this madness out here, which is the freedom.
Yeah.
Because that is nothing compared, a level 2 is nothing compared to what we have to put up with out here. So if you're able to live in a level 2 yard and maneuver, fly under the radar, or be out the way in a level 2. Because there is madness. There's madness in these level 2s where you're like, what is wrong with you? And then people will always go back, oh, you're lucky you're not in level 4. If you did that level 4, you'd be out of here. Like, well, this is not a level 4. This is a level 2. Like, this is not that place, So if you learn to live around that, and then it'll be easier for you to live out here. When people parole from level 4s, they parole with this high defense where, they don't trust much. Everything bothers them. It's because they're so structured. Level 4 is so structured. It's so like that's your area. This is our area. That's your area. You stay over there. You stay over there, and we'll stay here. And let's respect our boundaries, and let's be respectful to each other. And let's keep it that way. And that's how the peace is maintained. And it works.
Right.
And then you go to a level 3 and it's like, hey, and then you step into other people's areas. Like, hey, man, you can't be doing it. This is a level 4. You couldn't be walking into it. And now you go into level 2 and it's really loose now. It's really crazy. But that's how you have to get, because you got to learn how to live out here. You have to learn how to live out here and close that chapter of what you experienced in there, but
that takes a lot of emotional maturity.
Yes,
it must.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be really what kind of mental health services are there in there?
They have what they call the triple CMS, and I forgot what the acronym was for, but those individuals that take they pop pills, because they suffer from some type of mental illness.
Yeah.
And they keep them usually in a building designated just for them, and you have nurses go in there and tend to their needs or whatever. But that's about it. They have what is the other one? EOP?
EOP. Yeah. So you can go and request to speak to a psych. But then again, our population they frowned upon that. You can, so what I did was you can go and speak. So if you go speak to a psych or a therapist, you could do it 3 times. The 4th time, that's when they put you on triple CMS. So a lot of people would do it 3 and they'd be like, well, if you come for a 4th session, we could put you on this medication. We're like, no, we're good. We're good. Yeah.
You're just trying to talk.
I'm just trying to. And actually, when I went to go see the psych was because I wanted to learn more insight about what happened with me.
Right.
So the insight that I've had wasn't the insight that the board was looking for. So I was sort of confused. I was like, well, what is it that you want me to, what is it you want me to share? What happened to you? How did you end up with life in prison for something you didn't commit at such a young age?
Right.
That's the part that you have to feel. What happened? What pushed you out? And the psych that I seen was really helpful. It really, she really helped me with a lot of the work. And she actually gave me a chrono, a big letter chrono saying that after having a conversation, 3-day conversation with her, or 3-session conversation with her, that I did have insight. And that insight that I got was the insight that the board wanted, that was seeking.
Oh, that's included in the parole case and everything?
Yeah.
Those notes?
Yeah. So when I went and shared my story, sort of like what Serafin is doing, I shared what pushed me out into the street, what I was missing at home. And it wasn't because it wasn't my parents' fault. It was whatever needs that I felt I weren't being met, I went and found them in the street.
Right.
You know, and there was a lot of those insecurities, a lot of those self-esteem issues where I would see that my sister was getting everything and I wasn't getting much, right?
Right.
The way I was treated differently from her. So it's stuff like that she helped me figure out, like, this is what they want to hear. This is what pushed you out into the street. And that's how I figured it out. But like I said, after the fourth session, they try to put you like on
Just
triple C.
dope you up, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's dope that they give you, but they put you on some kind of medication.
Yeah, that's what I
Like
just call it dope.
psychotropic.
Yeah.
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 Something that's gonna affect your brain, man.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So yeah, that's our therapy right there. That's
Yeah. You get 3
mental-
sessions.
that's our mental health.
And
therapy.
do you got to kind of sneak around when you're doing
No.
it?
That again, if the triple C is what's frowned, not
okay.
not you seeing someone to talk to. It's the triple C.
Right.
Like, they don't want anybody. They'll ask, why you triple C? You know, well, why? What is? You know, are you weak? You scary or what? What's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you're dead weight. Like,
Yeah, you gotta go then.
yeah, you got to go. Like, we don't need you here. You're dead weight. So, what are you scared?
Yeah, no drugs for you. It's out. Fuck.
Yeah, you say, man, I'm having some anxiety. Like, what are you having anxiety about? You know?
What are you scared about? Yeah,
Can't
what are you
talk like
scared
that
about?
out here, man. Can't talk like that in there.
No.
It's okay. It's okay out here in the free world. Like, oh, anxiety. You're so brave for talking about that. And they're like,
Yeah, that's a weakness.
yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
weakness. No.
And you get it. Like, I mean, you know, they do the same training. I was in the military and they do the same thing. They like mental health services are so backwards in the military because the ultimate goal is war, or not goal, but the ultimate mission is combat. And so they really aren't touchy feely,
Yeah.
you know, and they kind of tell you to bury it.
Yeah, because you have to be that way.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
you have to be that way. Like just what I said earlier, you know, those anxiety, that stuff is real. And if they call you to, and you're in that position, like,
Plus, they're probably worried about a little snitching, maybe if you're talking. I don't know.
Could be a thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine just, I don't know, having a therapy session, just telling them what you're concerned. Yeah, gotta stab my cellmate tomorrow. Like, fuck it. Just having a tough time. Do you have a Xanax for that? You don't. Okay. Just going into this raw. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Fuck. You know what I mean? That's a real therapy session.
Yeah,
The therapist is like not equipped for that shit.
No.
All right, whatever.
And you know, I wanted to mention that that transfer for me, the transfer to Ione, Preston School of Industry, California Youth Authority, that made all the difference. Like where I went astray, because as I mentioned, like being housed in Southern California for approximately 2 years. Not a single incident. I was programming.
You were cruising.
Yeah,
But they forced you to affiliate.
exactly.
that's exactly what they
I mean, like I mentioned, coming off the bus. Oh yeah, you're a Southerner. Boom, you're a Sureño. Right away, they classified. They told me that I was a gang member. Like what?
Yeah.
And had they allowed me to be housed in Southern California rather than like YTS, right?
Ontario.
In Ontario, I probably would have stayed there till I was 25 years old and then transferred to CDCR. Most likely I would not have seen Pelican Bay. I probably wouldn't even landed in a level 4 maximum security prison.
Right.
I probably would have went to a level 3 where it's more relaxation in terms of the politics, you know.
Right.
And here's another thing. If he would have got off the bus and just spoke Spanish and not English, he would have been able to, oh, he's a paisa.
Yeah.
He's what's the correct pronunciation for the paisanos? I don't want to say the BB word. I don't say that because that's disrespectful. But what's
That's
national? He would have been
Mexican
considered.
national.
He would have been considered a Mexican national, no matter if he was from up north or from down south. He's getting off the bus. He speaks only Spanish. Doesn't speak English. He's a Mexican national. That's what he's labeled as. Anybody else that you're from Southern California, from LA County or from any county down here in Southern, you're automatically a Southerner. Automatically labeled.
And when you get called a Mexican national, is that its own affiliation too? Is that something else you got
That's the paisas. That's the paisanos. That's
Okay, I didn't
the
know.
brothers from the other side of the border.
Yeah.
I didn't. Okay.
Yeah. And they're not, I don't think they're a gang. I think they're just together.
Just a group of people.
Yeah. That group of people that, whether they're from up north or from down south, they're cool. But to touch on what he said earlier, I had I did have heard of North. You know, back in the days when I was gangbanging. Remember we had the Teen Angel magazines, right?
Teen Angel?
You ever heard of the Teen Angel magazines?
No.
So back in the days, right, they used to have, and so it was a magazine, like the Lowrider magazine, but it's
Right.
called Teen Angels. And everything that was in that magazine was gang related. So people used to send in like pictures of their neighborhood with all their nicknames, right? All their homies, right?
Right.
And you would buy them and get a kick out of them. So, you know, you're young, you're like, oh yeah, this gang, you cross them out in the book and you crossed out all your names. So they also had gangs from up north on there. They had the Fresno Bulldogs, they had the Northerners. But I never, in my wildest dreams, did I think I was ever going to run into these guys. And I had never even seen them as the enemy. They're up there. We're down here. We don't affiliate with them. We don't really care.
Right.
And then you get sent up there. Because I got sent to Chad. I was in Stockton.
Okay.
And that's when my run-ins with them came.
Did you recognize anybody from the
from the
magazines?
magazine?
Like names? I know their faces out there.
You were in the February issue, man. I had that shit on my wall.
Like their upper deck baseball cards.
Hey, you think you can sign this?
No, you know what's crazy, bro? No, because I had a homie of mine that he used to do that. He used to send in the roll calls, and I'm like, what are you doing? Fool, there's other fools that are looking at it. They're going to cross out the hood. Like, I don't care. We got to put it out. And I'm like, oh, man. But those magazines were really famous.
No shit.
Yeah, they were really, and they only sold them like in certain liquor stores.
That's
Of course.
It's a fucking wild concept
Yeah.
to me, man.
Yeah, and they were expensive too. Like they were expensive. I don't think they were just like $1.99. Did you ever run across any teenagers?
I remember. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
vaguely, but yeah, I did.
Yeah, they had all the cholas with their hairs all like the feather
Big
and
earrings?
the earrings and all the stuff in their hand and
I bet this neighborhood was represented well.
yeah, very very well. You know, so yeah, that was when I knew about them, but I was like, oh, yeah, these guys are way up north. And the thing is that when I was younger, I did take a trip to San Francisco, and I never said like, oh, I don't want to see these guys. I didn't even care. I didn't know. I didn't.
Yeah, you were just in San
Yeah,
Francisco,
I was just in
man.
San Francisco enjoying the bridge.
Yeah, the bridge.
And then until the youth authority, you go up north, you go to, and yeah, they're just a different breed. They're different. Like even though they're our culture, they're Mexican. They dress different. They talk different. Hairstyles different. They're all red. You know, us we're blue, but it's not like that's the color. Like every neighborhood is different.
Right.
You know, it's a variety of colors. Up there, it's just red. Like everything is red. Like nothing changes but red. So, yeah, it was a fun experience being around. It was just weird, but
Of course.
And after my incidents with them, I kind of grew to like dislike them, and almost to the point where I hated them. Right?
Sure.
Who?
The
The
Northern
Norteños?
Yeah, Norteños.
Norteños,
Yeah. And then when I was sent to the SHU in Pelican Bay, and we're housed next door to each other in an enclosure, they're called pods. There's 8 cells in there, 4 on the bottom, 4 on the top. So it's very intimate right there. And the front of the cells, they're not solid door or cement. The doors are like perforated with
like those little circles.
they're like honeycombs.
holes. Yeah. Okay.
So you could hear everything, And right there, everyone learned how to whisper right there with their cellmates, But living, I was in the SHU for about 20 years.
Really?
After my initial 2 years, I went back I did 10, and then I got out for a year and a half, and then I went to do another 10 years. Those two 10 years SHU terms were now because of gang politics now. Not because I did anything, but there were informants saying that I was involved, that I was shot calling and all that stuff. And after the administration gathered enough, they're only required to get 3 sources to validate one as being associated with whatever prison gang.
Sure.
They send you to the SHU for decades, So they did that to me, and I went back when I was 24 in 94. I went back, and I learned to live with these guys as my neighbors, where we became very close, And
People you once hated, almost hated.
yes,
Yeah.
where we looked out for each other. with canteen, commissary, packages. We all shared each other with each other, right? Sports came on. We talked about sports, and I mean, like, there were times when I got along better with some of the norteños than I did with the sureños.
Yeah, because it's just individuals.
Yeah. So that kind of threw a twist in my whole outlook, mindset, and how I felt about them. And that included other racial groups as well. And so I guess part of it was something called maturity that's setting in as well.
Sure.
And then living with them in close proximity as neighbors and sharing things where I didn't see them as enemies anymore. I saw them more like brothers in the same struggle.
Of course.
As I was. So I learned how to communicate with them. I started viewing them differently now. And finally, when I got back out to the general population, I was able to maintain that mindset and how I dealt with them, and it was.
Did that cause you problems amongst your peers when you got back? It didn't cause you problems.
No, because that's how we were supposed to behave or deal with them in a respectful manner. Whenever there was an issue of disrespect, that's when we do what we had to do, right?
Right.
But in the meantime, we try to keep it at a respectful level.
That was the standards, the respectful. Okay, got it. So you were 20 years in the shoe, like straight, or was it like 20 years total?
I did 2 for the incidents, and then I went back and did a 10 for the gang validation.
Right.
And then they let me out after 6 years without having any recent gang activity documentation. And then once they let me out after 10 years, there were more informants saying, oh, he's still doing this and that out here in the GP. So they sent me again.
For another 10?
Yeah. And then I got out in 2013, and I never returned back. But during those 20 years that I was in there, I immersed myself in a lot of education, philosophy books, psychology, history, everything I could get my hands on. I was reading a lot, and so even though I was in a cell without a window, these books, education was like a virtual window out into the world. And so I learned that there were a lot more important issues that people were struggling for and about than what we struggled in prison for and about. So that gave me a different. I got involved in national politics, local politics, geopolitics. I got really involved in that, paying attention to it, and how the whole system works, government and everything, democracy. I got involved in all that, and it just, I knew that there was power in numbers in your voice being heard, and so that's where my mindset went in that direction.
Sure.
And it's a good thing because just as in 2011, there were a couple of hunger strikes initiated there in Pelican Bay, SHU. And I think they expanded a little bit to some of the other prisons, Corcoran being one in particular that followed suit. And because now there was a collective agreement that we needed to do something to get ourselves out of the SHU because they were holding us there for decades,
That's crazy.
Yeah. And that, if Pelican Bay served any positive purpose, it was to get us together, the different factions, the different groups, to come together and say, like, this is bullshit the way they have us here,
Right.
Without visits, not being able to hold our family members, our moms, our parents, kids, and but we knew that we had to show a sense of unity, and that entailed the violence has to stop.
Mm.
And so there was an agreement to, it was called the end of hostilities. And coupled with that was a federal lawsuit. And that just forced CDCR to settle the lawsuit rather than take it to trial at fear of losing that trial.
No shit.
And so there was a settlement, and CDCR agreed, okay, we're going to let you guys out. And that end of hostilities is still holding even till today. And it was initiated like in 2012, 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. So now the shoe is done with that type of incarceration. That's done
Long term shoe
term.
incarceration. Yeah.
Yeah, my understanding, by the way, is just Pelican Bay, besides for ADX and Florence, that's as bad as it gets in this country,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you can really communicate in Colorado, but with the limited communication in Pelican Bay.
Today, what they call the short corridor in Pelican Bay, today it's a level 2. Today they have the pods that they once lived in there for decades.
Yeah.
Now they have artists that live there that have actually painted those ones. Like if you go on YouTube and you see like Pelican Bay, like when they walk them in to those pods and those orange and those yellow jumpsuits, like if you see it today, you'll be blown away because
They have murals, right?
Yeah, there's murals all over. You haven't been back, huh? to
No, I
Pelican Bay.
haven't.
So they have murals. No, because I've been back.
Oh yeah,
I've been back.
That's the last place you want to go.
So I've been back. I never. Thank God, I never made it over there. But now I went back as a civilian. So I walked into the pods and I've seen like how they're level 2s now. How they walk. So how now those short corridors that they once used to escort these guys in shackles, whether to the visiting room or to the attorney room. Now they're just walking like nothing. Like they're going to chow or they're going to the yard. Yeah. And the pods that they once held these guys in that were so secure, the secure housing unit, they were so secure that now the door's wide open. Mm-hmm. Like these guys' cells are wide open. And then you walk into their cells and these guys have murals of lions and elephants and birds. And it's just amazing. The transformation of when he was there to what it is today is it's
and
you have to see
you were
it.
part of that work to make it happen.
Yeah,
that's a big thing.
Yeah, I mean in 2013, the year that they let me out, they had the mass hunger strike. They say it must have been like 30,000 people involved.
Wow.
And it's still classified today as the largest single hunger strike event, I think, by prisoners in the whole world.
Wow.
Yeah.
And did you find any resistance? Did the prison establishment, did they not like you guys getting together and unifying? Because I mean, that seems like that's the Cold War. Like we don't have to treat you better until you stop killing each other. Then you stop killing each other. Now you got to call them out. Like now we can get treated better. But I mean, it seems like a lot of the police works on keeping people divided. So was there a resistance?
Well, I believe there's elements of that. Some I would say agree with us coming together, ending the violence, because in one part it makes it even safer for them. Mm-hmm. But I know there's also some that don't like that we're coming together because they may feel like, okay, now they're going to focus on us,
Right.
Yeah.
As you should.
Yeah.
But in a non-violent way.
Right. Yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Just advocate for yourselves. Yeah. Here's a dumb question, maybe, but when you get out of prison after 25 years or whatever, is there any kind of social security or anything that you've paid into? Because now you're just entering a workforce, and then what, you're supposed to be 90 years old working towards your retirement. I'm assuming there's nothing for you, but
got a lot of catching up to do. That's for sure.
Yeah. Because a lot of people are getting out at retirement age, and then they got to earn an income.
Yeah.
What is that like?
You know what? I'm not too knowledgeable in that area right there. What I did learn recently was that when they were giving EDD, unemployment here at the state level, that if you're getting out of prison, you could applied for EDD, and I didn't know that. Like, man, I missed out on that opportunity because I went jobless for from the job that I had inside. Coming out, I was jobless for about 6 months.
Damn.
Yeah,
That's stressful.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I mean, I've been out here going on, man, 7 years, bro.
Yeah.
I remember when you first met in 2015.
You just got out.
Yeah.
I was like, what's
The
up?
first white boy I seen that picked his shoe up.
Yeah. I was like, what up?
What's up with this wood right here?
He's like, you just got out. I was like, you got out of where? Jail? He's like, no, prison. He's like, how long? How was you, like 30-something years, 20-something? I was like, damn, I haven't been alive that long. That's crazy. So my whole life, every experience I had, you were there, and now we're here together?
Yes.
That shit always trips me out, dude. I'm like, so Kobe's whole career, you were in there. I always think of it like weird shit like that. That fool was drafted, and then he did this, and then like you were still there. I was like, damn, all right.
But I got out before he retired. I never got a chance to see him in live. But
Rest in peace. But yeah.
and here's something that's worth mentioning. When I did get out in 2013, after doing my second 10-year stint in the SHU, I felt that was my freedom right there. I obtained my freedom, and they sent me to Delano from Pelican Bay. They sent me to Delano, which is about 30 minutes north of Bakersfield.
Okay.
Initially, they tried to return me to High Desert State Prison, which is in Susanville.
God, the state is covered in prisons.
It's so many.
Yeah.
31.
And Susanville is about 12 hours away from LA. And I told the chairman, why are you sending me to Susanville? I've been in Pelican Bay, between Pelican Bay and Susanville, which is High Desert State Prison. I've been up here 20 years. I understand why you had me up here, but my family, I feel like you're making them to suffer as well. The chairman, he changed his mind. He said, you know what? We're going to send you closer to your family just by me expressing that right there, sending you to Delano, which is about 2.5 hours from Los Angeles. So when I got to Delano, I felt like I had my freedom. And because I didn't think I was ever going to come home anyway.
That was my next question. You thought it was that you're dying.
I'm not ever getting out. I might have had a chance to come home just on my commitment offense alone. But after what I had done in there, I sealed my fate. This is where I'm going to die.
When you say commitment offense, that's the determinate minimum 27 to life, right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And so, but something interesting happened that year. Towards the end of that year in 2013, there was a law passed, SB 260, Senate Bill 260, which was the youth offender law, also known as the youth offender law. If you were a minor under 18 years old and tried and convicted as an adult, sentenced as an adult, you were going to be given a second opportunity to obtain release. And I read that law carefully, and there was mandatory language in that law says, you shall be given an opportunity to obtain your release. Shall is different from may.
Right. That's more permanent, more guarantee.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, and I had a kitchen job, a coveted kitchen job in Delano, right? Everybody wanted that job because you get to prepare your own food, whatever, But when I heard that law passed, I got out of there and I went to work in the Department of Education there in the prison where I was a teacher's assistant. Now I was tutoring. I was being a service in a way to help others with their education.
Right.
Because I knew that was going to go a lot further for me when I eventually start going before the parole board. And I should say in 2007, in my first parole board hearing, I had no insight, nothing that the parole board that was going to look favorable before the parole board, And the last words that I remember the commissioner told me in 2007 at my first parole board hearing while I was still in the SHU, they said, you're going to be an old man by the time you get out, if you ever get out. And this was 2007. So fast forward to 2013 when I left the kitchen job, and a lot of the guys were saying like, what's wrong with you? Why are you leaving this job? Everybody wants this job. I said, I have a different plan. I have a different vision now, And they were clowning me, the guys were clowning me. They're never going to let you out, Well, I'm going to find out,
Right.
So I started going, I went to my second, third, and fourth parole board hearing in 2015, 2016. in 2017. Year after year, I started going, and that's a good sign that you're going each year because they're telling. I mean, they had the option of denying you 15 years max, or 10 years, or 7 years, or 5 years. I was being denied 3 years, but if you're denied 3 years, you get that opportunity to return it the following year, as long as you're following the recommendations. And that's what I was doing. So that made me feel like, okay, I'm close. I'm close. I'm doing the right thing. And they would tell me, you're on the right track. Keep doing what you're doing. And then in 2017, here's a program by ARC, the Anti-Recidivism Coalition, which I'm an employee of. So is Caesar. Life coaches are coming in. Formerly incarcerated lifers are coming in to facilitate self-help groups. And that was the first time that I ever seen lifers come back in, because I had never met a lifer that had been paroled before until these two life coaches, Jacob and Adam. And Jacob happens to be one of my supervisors now.
Wow.
And I mean, that gave me so much hope, and motivation. Like, here in front of me, before me, here's some former lifers that got out.
Yeah.
And so I, at my fourth hearing, I got denied, and I got an override transfer to a level 3.
Well, first tell them why you got denied. Tell them what the denial was for.
Because the commissioners were, they were always asking me, how come you don't go to SNY yard? That's a sensitive needs yards. And I would tell them, I don't feel that I have sensitive needs. I don't need to go over there. In other words, they wanted me to debrief or become an informant. I don't know, to ensure them that I'm really out of that lifestyle, But I was doing everything right. I had already distanced myself from that the politics in prison, because my mind, like as I mentioned earlier, I'm thinking differently now. How I view Norteños and other groups that I once deemed enemies or rivals of mine. I don't view them that way anymore. So I stepped back from the politics and just started focusing on getting out of prison now, doing what I had to do within me internally, that internal work. And so I wasn't going to go to an SNYR. I didn't feel that I needed to go. And I would express that to the commissioners. I don't have sensitive needs. I'm fine right here. And finally, I told them in that fourth hearing, I said, my problem isn't my surroundings or my environment. My problem has always been here in my mind, my mindset. I'm taking care of that. I'm addressing that. I hope that you guys can understand that, And that was probably one of the best answers that I could have given them, because they said, okay, yeah, that is true,
Yeah. And your fourth try was the successful one?
No.
Damn.
No. Yeah.
Didn't expect that.
Because I was still minimizing in a way when they touched upon my involvement in the prison gang.
Gotcha.
When they would ask me, what's the extent of your role? I would shut down, because it's deeply ingrained in us. Like, you don't talk about that. You don't talk about that. But I had received some reassurance that, when you go in there, talk about the things that you've done. You don't have to throw anybody under the bus. And that took a huge weight off my shoulders. I said, okay, I can do that.
It's crazy that you get one shot, you accumulate some data, and you have to wait a year. And then you take that in, take a second shot, and then you're slowly putting this puzzle together. And it's over how many times
I went to, I had 5 board hearings. The 5th one was a successful one.
So 5 years, but really 5 meetings, which means you are a quick learner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not 5 years, but it's how long's a meeting?
You mean
The
time wise?
Yeah.
Oh, my 4th one was like 5 hours.
Oh shit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That
really
was 5
grill you.
hours, man.
Yeah.
And man, my brain was like all lower, because they ask you the same questions in a different format. They formatted differently, I don't know. They
trip you up.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and that was intense, being interrogated. But I learned, in order to relax, I learned that it's not an adversarial hearing. They used to be, but not anymore.
Right.
Because of the commissioners have undergone training now to be fair, to follow the law now, where before they were mired in politics.
Right.
So that kind of eased my my sense of nervousness, knowing that, okay, these people are not really here. They're actually trying to give me an opportunity to come home now. You know?
Right.
Yeah. So, and I felt like I was still in a level 4 maximum security prison. I felt like if I could get down to a level 3, that might be enough, you know? But my points, classification score was so high, I had 155 points. In order to get down to a level 3, you have to have 59, and I can only reduce my points by 8 a year. So, like, do the math, right?
I'm not gonna do
so
that.
it's just so there's no humanity to that whatsoever. It doesn't take the individual. It's like being so statistical about human beings. It doesn't make any sense.
But even that changed where like, the rules changed. They say, okay, if you've been programming positively, we can override you to a level 3 if your points are so high. So that's what I did. And here's the interesting thing. I had correctional officers, teachers, all pulling for me, all speaking on my behalf, vouching for me. Like, this guy's genuine. He's really changed, you know. And they told the captain that. So the captain interviewed me, and he felt he agreed with those that were supporting me. But my counselor was like totally against it, and she argued with the captain like, I'm not gonna sign my name on that, because if he goes down there to a level 3 yard and he does something, I'm gonna have my name on that. And I can't do that, you know. So they argued during the committee. They had me step out of the room so I wouldn't hear them arguing. So finally, when I was called back in for the decision, the captain just said, you know what, I believe in you. I think you're genuine. We didn't reach a consensus in the committee, but I have the last say. I'm going to override you. I'm going to grant you the override. So yeah, I got to the level 3, and within a year, I got found suitable.
What was that like? What was that feeling like, man?
Man, it was incredible. But thanks to Caesar and Jamel, who the dynamic duo at Ironwood State Prison, life coaches for ARC. I was able to graduate from all 3 of the groups that they were facilitating, and I picked up a lot of insight.
Helped you a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I went home, and when I got found suitable, it was a feeling that was so surreal. And the commissioner asked to have me placed in a room across the hallway so he can speak to me privately. And he asked me to stand, and he congratulated me, shook my hand, and he told me, look, the doors are open. Go back out to the yard and tell the guys, you know, they can come home now. They can go home, just like you. But you have to do the work and turn that corner. Let them know also, I want them to go home so that they can go back and fix the kids in their communities, you know. And I'll never forget this. And actually, that's some of the work that I've been doing independently of my work with ARC. You know, I mentor some of the kids, you know, and I'm waiting to go back, to go into the juvenile halls and mentor the kids right there as a credible messenger.
And that's a challenge. That's a big challenge.
Yes.
That's a big challenge, because I've done some of the work that he's getting ready to go in there, just one-on-ones. And it's a challenge, because I went in there and I talked to one kid, have a one-on-one, and try to, you know, I did a curriculum with him. And there was times when he was telling me like, hey bro, like, I don't really care you're here.
Damn.
Like, I don't really care if you're here. I'm only here because the judge wants me to be here, you know. But if it was up to me, I give a shit about this program. I care. I don't give a fuck. You know, this is where I'm from, and this is what I'm representing. And all you can do is just be like, okay, you got to understand. You can't get mad. You can't get disappointed. Yeah. All you can do is you're trying. You can't force someone to change. You know?
No, never.
So it's good to see people like Serafin going back in, and one thing that I have learned mentoring, because remember we used to go to
Bechuva.
With Bechuva, we used to go to Vista del Mar, Remember with the
So I did
Jessica?
that, and I did some other stuff in the valley too. We speak to the kids, the
Yeah,
prevention.
yeah, prevention plan.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember I was mentoring this young kid, and I felt like I failed him because you know he ended up in jail. It didn't go the way I wanted it to, and we were having a mentorship training once at ARC. I think it was before you arrived, and I asked the guy that was doing the facilitating, like, "Hey man, like, what do you think I did wrong?" I mean, I used to pick him up. We'd go to Venice Beach. We'd play handball. Like I spent a little bit. I mean, I guess I wasn't spending enough time with him. Like I don't know.
Right.
And his response was like, "Look, you can't save everybody, and if you're in this field of helping, like you got to understand that sometimes you're not going to be able to reach everybody. If you reach one, then that's good.
Yeah.
But don't expect to reach them all because not everyone wants to change. Not everyone wants what you're offering."
Right.
And it was a relief because I felt bad that I felt like I failed this kid. But in reality, it was like you did what you could. And as long as you keep doing it and don't stop,
Right.
whatever happened with the first one, so it'll be good. But it's challenging because this youth today is turned up, man. It's a little bit turned up. But it's a good thing that, like I said, that we have people like Serafin.
Do you feel like the prisons there's a decent amount of people who are ready to come home who are going through that process?
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like you were a part of a big community?
Yeah, a lot more so now than before, than a few years ago. Mm-hmm. A lot more. I returned to Delano for one day a couple of months ago, or less than 2 months ago. I returned because that's where I was assigned to the yard where I did 5 years, 2013 to 2018,
Damn.
to facilitate our groups, our ARC's groups. And when the guys out there in the yard heard it, because the rumors spread out really fast, they said, "Afin's back." Like, what do you mean? Some of them thought I was back as a
Like as a
prisoner.
prisoner. Yeah.
They said no, he's here with ARC. You know, he's facilitating group. There were guys that weren't assigned to the class, but were walking when the yard was released all the way to the program office just to see if it was true, to get a glimpse of me, because they wanted to see if it was really true, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean that speaks volumes, you know, like your former lifer who was gang validated, who did 20 years in the shoe, to be able to get out. They want to see it for themselves, because if they can see it, okay, I got a shot then, you know.
Right.
And that's what I want to be, that beacon of hope, of motivation for them. You know, if I can do it, you guys can do it.
That must have been, because I mean, you were talking about how inspired you were when you saw lifers who you'd never met before.
Yeah.
But these people know you; they've been with you.
Yeah,
That's massively inspirational. Yeah,
absolutely.
So tell them your the little mission you went on when you got paroled.
Immigration
Immigration.
story hasn't ended yet.
Oh, all right. Let's keep it pushing.
It's a great story.
So I mean, I was undocumented because I'm from Mexico. No green card or anything. So I had an ICE hold, and when I get paroled, they're there to pick me up.
Oh, so man, you thought you were about to be free, and then you have this shit?
I knew because I had
okay.
communication. They let me know, hey, we're gonna go pick you up.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so I said, okay. Now I have a decision to make. Either get my freedom that very day when they pick me up, but it's gonna be in Mexico, or I can wait 6 months because then I'll be entitled to a bail hearing with immigration. And I told myself, you know what? I've been in prison 32 years already. 6 months isn't going to make much of a difference.
Damn.
You know? And my whole family's here in LA. And I can have my freedom in Mexico, but without my family. But to me, family is everything.
Yeah.
Right? I can sacrifice 6 more months. Right. So I'm there in immigration, and I have the first 2 weeks I get an interview by an asylum officer. You know, what's your problem? Why can't you return to Mexico? And, you know, I said, well, there's issues with the cartels, you know, and my life would be an immediate risk and danger. So they found my account credible, but they said Mexico's big. You don't have to necessarily return to your home village where you'll face danger.
Yeah, it's true. So
yeah. So I lost the hearing, and they told me we're going to deport you. The judge says you have 15 days within which to file an appeal. If you fail to do so within that time frame, you will be deported. So I thought, okay, I have 15 days. I didn't have a lawyer. I represented myself at the time. But now I have to look for an attorney before those 15 days are up.
Dang.
But the next day, I get woken up at about 4 a.m. by ICE agents. They say, "Hey, pack up your stuff. You're getting deported today." I said, "What do you mean? I have 14 more days. Here's the document from the judge, the order." Say, we don't care about that. We're taking you to the border today. I'm like, what?
What year was this?
2020.
2020. Okay.
Yeah, January 2020.
Yeah.
And so I'm not complying. I'm not cooperating. I'm not complying with them. And we got into a confrontation, a face-off. But in my mind, I'm also thinking I can't get into a physical confrontation because that's an easy parole violation right there. My life sentence will be reinstated.
Yeah.
But I can't allow them to stomp on my constitutional rights either, right? So it's like a chess match right here going on right there. I'm in the ICE processing front center, the office. There's like 25 people that are being deported with me that day. They're already changed into their civilian clothes. They're shackled. They're in the chain gang. They're ready to board the bus. I'm the lone holdout. And I'm still wearing the jumpsuit from ICE. Finally, I asked them, let me call an attorney from Loyola Law School, the ones that represented me at the board. And they said, no, you can't. We can't. That's why we shut the phones off during deportations to Mexico for security reasons. We don't want anybody to call somebody to hijack the bus along the way. Damn. So they're not giving me a phone call, and they want my fingerprint, which is part of the deportation process. I'm not giving them. So we finally start negotiating, and they said, give us your fingerprint. We'll give you a call. I said, no, give me the call first, then I'll give you the print. I mean, you're not even supposed to be deporting me right now, right? Yeah. When it got to the point where they were almost going to put hands on me into a physical altercation, that's when I gave in. I couldn't afford to get a parole violation. So I did give them my fingerprint, but they held true to their word, walked me to the phone, and I called Loyola. And I told Loyola what was happening. And so they put an immigration attorney right there, and the attorney told me, look, do whatever you're going to do slowly. If you have to tie your shoe, tie it slowly. We need every minute, every second to file an emergency appeal to stay your deportation. So that's what I did. Remember, it was at 4 o'clock when they woke me up for that. We left at around 10:30. That's how long the standoff was.
Wow.
And I'm on the bus now, and I'm having all these thoughts in my mind, like they're gonna have to drag me off the bus at the border. I'm not gonna get off voluntarily. But as I'm on my way to the border, we get into San Diego County, get off the highway, and we're going through streets in the communities, and I'm seeing people, families, couples with their kids at the McDonald's playground and everything I've been longing for 32 years. And here it is. I could have it today, albeit in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
So I changed my mind. I said, you know what? I'm getting off the bus. I told myself, I'm going to Mexico. I had enough. I fought the good fight. That's it. So I'm in line now at the border. The gates there that we're being processed in. I'm number 16 from 25. Now there's about 5 individuals in front of me. I know I'm going to be through that gate in about 10 minutes. When an ICE agent says, hey, Serafin, step out of that line, get back on the bus. We're going back to the ICE processing center. I knew right away Loyola was successful. Mm-hmm. So we're back. We're back in the detention center the next day around 4 o'clock in the morning, 24 hours. And some of the guys that were there that I had given all my stuff to, they looked at me at 4 a.m. and thought they saw a ghost, I said, give me all my stuff back. Hey, you on the bottom bunk, that's my bunk. Go back upstairs.
Yeah. Tell them about the meal, though. Tell them about the meal you got before you're on the bus.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we were before we made our trip back to the ICE processing center from the border, I was hungry and I was thirsty. And so I asked the agents if they could give me some water or a sack lunch, because I thought that's what they would give us, sack lunches. That's what they did in the state, right?
Mm-hmm.
So okay, yeah, we're gonna pull over at a McDonald's and get something, and we'll feed you and give you water then. And I thought, okay, they're gonna get themselves something from McDonald's and they're gonna give me water and a sack lunch, right?
Yeah.
No, he came back in the bus with 2 bags, right? And I opened, there were cheeseburgers in there.
Oh man, I'm so happy.
And an ice cold Coke with ice in there, right? And I bit into that cheeseburger, and it was like the best tasting cheeseburger ever.
Damn,
I said, "Oh, this is cool," you know? Yeah.
I love this shit.
Yeah. So I'm back in the ice processing center now, and now that was a month into my stay at the detention center that all that happened. Now that I'm allowed to stay there, they didn't deport me. Let me wait another 5 months. That's when I'm entitled to a bail hearing. All these lawyers that my family's talking to, they're saying he has a slim chance, very slim, next to none, because of his case, you know. And if the U.S. government knows about what he did in prison, yeah, he's not gonna get bail. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, damn, okay, well, I'm gonna give it a try, you know. And the day of the bond hearing came up, I went to court. My attorney is arguing with the U.S.'s attorney. And finally, the decision is coming in, and the judge he starts off with saying that the government has presented a compelling argument that the respondent, me, still presents a danger to society. And my head just sunk, you know. I'm like, oh, okay, Mexico, here I come, right?
Yeah.
And then he took a few second pause, and he says, however, due to his extensive rehabilitation, he has overcome that. I'm granting bail. I'm like, oh, and my heart like start beating again, right? And then he says, I'm setting bail at 100,000. And my heart sank again, right?
Fuck.
Yeah, because everyone I've been seeing that's been getting bail is like 10,000, 15,000, right? And I thought I was maybe max 25,000. But he said 100,000, and I thought like, my family and my whole family's behind in the seats behind me, and I thought, okay, they're not going to be able to pay that, right? And so I turn around to tell with a sad look in my face, like, hey, we fought the good fight, you know. When I turned around, they were all like, I'm thinking like, what do they know that I don't know, right? It's been 32 years. Okay, the financial situation is a little better than when it was in 1987. You know?
Good for them.
Yeah, so they posted bail that evening, and I was out.
Damn.
Wow.
And I'm still on bail. You know, I'm
Still.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That
you're
would
still
have been
fighting?
a different case with my family.
Yeah.
That would have been like, we'll visit you in Mexico.
Yeah.
Had you gone to Mexico, do you have any connection whatsoever? You do?
Yeah, I have family over there, but there's a huge risk, you know,
Of course.
to return over there. And actually, because I have tattoos on me, you can't see them, but I have some on my body that I mean, they still symbolize my association in there. If I'm pulled over anywhere in Mexico, and because of the corruption over there, authorities can easily turn me over to cartel. Hey, this guy has gang tattoos. Investigate him. You know.
Yeah.
It could be all bad for me. So, immigration judge learned about that, the tattoos and stuff, and said, okay, this changes everything now. And the judge says, I'm going to allow you to stay here and fight your case on the merits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so now it's looking good. I had a hearing a couple of months ago, and now the judge is asking about what have I been doing since I've been on bail out here. And I asked my attorney, why is he asking that? Isn't all the judge supposed to be concerned about is the situation in Mexico? He said, my attorney says, no, the judge has prosecutorial discretion.
Oh, boy.
If you're doing a lot of good stuff here for the community, being of service, the judge can bypass whatever's going on in Mexico and allow you to stay here just on your positive conduct. I said, oh, that's good.
That is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And you've been doing good stuff, so that helps.
Yeah.
Wow. Seems like prison is like it's just a lot of, you've mentioned a lot of great like rule changes and like processes just getting a little bit better than the way it used to be. I'm sure it's still a miserable experience, but
Right.
that's something to hang your hat on, to be able to be a part of that kind of.
It is, and I think it's it's attributable to organizations like ARC that advocate and not only do we advocate like through social media and everything, but we also go to Sacramento to the Capitol. We're in the building. We're in there advocating in there, knocking on senator and assembly persons' doors, for a meeting. Hear us out, And some of us have gone over there, former lifers, and we tell our story just the way we're telling ours right now, to convince the powers to be. Hey, a lot of people in there should be given a second chance, just like we were given a second chance. And look what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. Didn't we have somebody in here who was also in Pelican who was talking about like he was saying that different races were like administratively not allowed to mingle. He was talking about playing chess. Was that not?
I don't know.
So I guess it was saying that they keep them like racially segregated no matter.
That's
like,
typical, right? Though.
Is that normal in prison? Just
I don't know. I think stuff is changing now. So one of the things that Serafin was talking about, how the mindset. So in the early 90s, I would say, or whenever, you always played sports or games with your own race. Like you never really. Now that's changed too. Mm-hmm. Now that's changed. Like the yards that Serafin was, it was shocking to me because I was walking in and I would see like the homies with the African Americans playing ball, and I'm like, what? And like, you guys do that here? Like, oh yeah, it's cool now. Like this is not like we're not at war, and
Right.
everybody is it's at peace. Like we don't argue. We don't like if you're out, you're out. Like if you're cheating, your own people be like, hey, if you're cheating, like don't be bringing that over here.
yeah.
So that was really cool. I seeing that is just like wow, because that was never really seen before. Where you played. Some prisons, I think level 2s, had organized sports. So when it's an organized sport, that means that there's like referees and it's a league.
Right.
Then obviously the permission was asked first if it was okay, and yeah, it was okay. And then now when all these a lot of permission was given, now it's everywhere. Now it's something that's that's really cool that you're able to play sports with the different race, which is really, really cool because that was never really.
That's a beautiful thing, to
Yes.
see that. Yeah, where like Cesar mentioned earlier, like everyone has boundaries. Those boundaries are still there, like in the higher security levels, but you're able to come together and hold activities together, sports and stuff, play chess or whatever, pinochle and share a table with different groups now to participate in those tournaments.
Yeah, that's a big deal because it wasn't even like that in the 90s, right?
Oh no, that was
That's not that long ago.
No,
That's yeah.
And part of the so Serafin is one of the he's been with theirs going on 6 months, right?
7 months.
7 months.
Yeah.
So he's part of the Hope and Redemption team. That's the team that I started on when it was just 9 of us going into Ironwood and Calipatria and Centinela and Donovan and Corcoran and Kern.
You guys are a large group now. Always
Now
doing cool
we have every life coach in every 20 something prisons right now.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's kind of tight.
California locks people up.
Yeah.
There's like 30, 31, 32 Hope and Redemption team members now.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So now every week they go into different prisons.
And we have women too.
And the women's prison too. Yeah. So I remember one of the things when I started doing the work back in 2017, 18, a year into the work, I remember having one of my graduations, the captain going up to the microphone and sharing that since this program had started in their prison, and this is the level 4, Calipatria was level 4. Ever since that we started going back in there and facilitating these groups, that the write-ups, which is the RVRs, the rule violation reports, had gone from like 300 in a month to like 50 in a month.
Wow.
Yeah, because because of
That's great.
and maybe it wasn't the facilitation that we were giving the guys. It was just the fact that they were seeing someone like me go inside, and the difference that I made to the men in there is just like what Serafin is doing now
Right.
when he goes back inside, because like, man, this guy was in the same shoes as me. Like I used to, when I started going in there, I was telling, dude, I was wearing those boots and that gear like 2 years ago.
Right.
Like 2 years ago, I was wearing that. And now I'm wearing this.
Right.
And now I'm in here and they're just like in shock.
Yeah.
And I've
Can't
come
imagine.
across people that I knew from when I was in youth authority that are still in the level 4s. And I would be like, man, bro, like, just get it together, bro. Like the doors are wide open right now. The doors are wide open.
Do you think it'll stay like that? The doors being wide open? At this
I
rate?
believe so. I believe so because they're not letting out any dummies.
I don't think that. Yeah.
No, they're letting out people that have done the work. And the people that have done the work. Now, I'm not trying to say that the recidivism is at zero,
Yeah.
but it's not what it used to be back
Improved.
in the 2000s or the, the late 90s. Now the recidivism is, I would say, 0.5 compared to like 50%
Damn.
back in the late 90s, where there was no organizations like ARC or Friends Outside or any organization that was helping the guys come home.
Sure.
Now, and the parole officers were just finding reasons why to violate you, right? They will kick your
Yes.
door down at 3 a.m. to see what you were doing and search your house and try to find anything to put you back in. When today they themselves have what's called the PAC meetings. And I can't remember the exact correct acronym for PACT, but it's a group that they do once a month that they run, that the parole officers run, and that they have their caseload attend. And then they reach out to people like myself and to other organizations to pop in these Zoom meetings and present what they have to offer. So when I go in there, I say, hey, my name is Caesar. I'm part of ARC. I'm part of the workforce and development. What we do here is we have a construction cohort where we put you through 11 weeks, yada, yada, yada. So the people that just came home that maybe have never heard of ARC or maybe not, they hear like, what? And you get $900 every 2 weeks? What? Oh, yeah. And then next, my name's at my phone and my email's at the bottom. If you want to be part of this program, give me a call or whatever. And sure enough, I'll get the email, get the text. Because Serafin went through that same program.
Did the cohort, yeah.
But Serafin was like, I'm 50. I ain't doing no construction.
That training was intense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bet.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I'm doing all that shit, man.
Yeah. So now they want to help you, like, and then if you like, there's even some that I know that would ask you like Mason, like, I'm getting ready to test you, bro. Like, is this gonna come out dirty?
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be like, yeah, it is. Okay, look, man, I'll be back in 2 weeks. Clean up. Like, I don't want to put you in jail. Like, I don't want to.
It's a whole different
That's what they
relationship,
do.
huh?
Yeah, it's a whole different beast with them. It's
Yeah, because they used to search your house, and if you were on parole and you lived with me and they found weed on me, you go back.
yep.
That's
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
if you were both on parole and you were together, that's a
you
violation.
can't do that either.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Here's
No.
here's something interesting. 2020, we have two Hope and Redemption team members assigned to Pelican Bay State Prison. Joseph Osorio and Mark Taylor. Shout out to them.
also my students.
Yes,
Shout out to Susan.
yes.
You got that Bill Belichick coaching tree
There you
or
go.
whatever. Yeah.
So they start facilitating over there in Pelican Bay State Prison, and the participants over there start questioning, like, where have you guys been? What yards? And like they have doubts. Like, you guys' case factors aren't like our case factors. You guys got out because, well, you haven't been anywhere, you haven't done anything.
Right.
We're here in Pelican Bay. So Joseph Osorio and Mark Taylor start going down a list of guys that they might know that got found suitable in parole, and my name was the last one on that list. And these guys, after having dismissed a lot of those guys, one individual said, "Hey, I know that guy. Serafin was my former cellmate back in '93 in Corcoran. That guy couldn't have gotten out. Yeah, he got out.
That must make them
Yeah,
blow their fucking mind.
yeah, and I was still in immigration at the time. They say, yeah, he's in immigration. He paroled, and they were like, their mind was blown away. Like, no, not that guy. Yeah, he got out.
The one, yeah.
Yeah. So when I got out of immigration, Mark and Joseph asked me to do a short video, like congratulating the ARC graduates for graduating, and I did, and they showed that video to them over there, and that helped several of those guys to really commit themselves to doing the programs and everything. So my former cellmate, he actually made history this past July, being the first lifer in Pelican Bay State Prison's B yard. It was like the most notorious yard in the whole state. First guy to ever be found suitable and parole, lifer. Lifer, yes, and I talked to him already, and he says like, man, when I saw you on that video, man, I was like, I know if you did it, I could do it, because you and I, we were both
In it.
you know, in the mud. And, yeah.
And look at this sacrifice. Not to take away from that story, but these two guys, right? Joseph Osorio and Mark Taylor. I know I sacrificed a lot while I was doing this work, but it does not compare to what they sacrificed. Like Joseph Osorio is married. His wife and his kids, he lives in Vegas, right? Mark Taylor, at that time, I think he was living in Los Angeles. They both lived in Crescent City, which is where Pelican Bay is at. And they had a house there. Both of them, like as roommates. And this is what they were doing. This was part of their work. They were 3 months every 3 months, they were there. They were just living together, like right here. Yeah. And then tomorrow work, going to Pelican Bay and go facilitate groups.
Wow.
And then after 3 months, I believe they will go home. Each one will go home for a month, and then right back at it the next day. Like his whole family is in Vegas, bro. You know, but you know, shout out to you know, I know Mark has moved on to another job, which is also giving back, being of service. But Joe has moved up as a manager, which I'm very proud of, because again, you know, he was one of my students, and I knew he had it in him, and now he stepped up his game where he's a manager. He's a manager of the Northern region, which he has a great position. Now I believe he's just going to make sure that the people that he has under him, that when they go inside, that they make sure that they're doing the work. So to me, like I said, man, I commend you guys. That's a huge, huge sacrifice to move out into Crescent City. And like, I don't know if you guys ever been to Crescent City, but Crescent City is sort of like little Arizona. And then you know how Arizona is?
Yeah.
It's just like that. It's not that many of us there. You know? And they were there, and
more of us.
More of you guys.
The whites.
Yes.
I mean, it's basically Oregon.
Basically, there you go. There you go. Just like that. And you know, they went through some struggles.
I'm sure.
But eventually they proved to be who they really are, which is rehabilitated individuals that just want to help and be of service. And man, they're killing it now.
That's great.
You know?
That must mean a lot too.
Yeah.
And when I think about Crescent City, you know, the irony of that location, like arguably being one of the most beautiful places in the world.
Redwood trees and
yeah. But living there for 20 years in a cell without a window and not being able to...
You have no idea where you're at.
I actually have thought about that a lot, because I used to live in Northern California, and I read an article years ago. I don't fully remember the details, but when was Pelican Bay built?
89.
89. So it was this was 2000. So it's only like a 15, 20-year-old prison at that point. And I remember people talking about how like some of the local yuppies were a little upset because there was a lot of people with like face tattoos moving up to Crescent City to be able to communicate in and out and all that stuff. And it's just such a, like, whose idea was it to put some hellish structure in a paradise? It's just it is the irony is really baffling. Because you said you've been up there.
Well,
you said no, you haven't been back.
I haven't been back up there. No.
I have. You know, it rains 10 months out of the year up there.
Does it?
Yeah, so everything is green.
Yeah.
And the beaches that they have there are just insane, bro. It is a nice community, but it's small. Right. But it's a really nice community. The few days that I was there, it was cool.
Should we wrap on that?
Yeah, it's your show.
It's good, bro. This is good.
I'm really appreciate you came here.
Thank you for having me.
Dude, thanks for being here. Thanks for this whole thing. This is what, other than the being a little, we should turn that fucker on. The air, it got a little warm.
I can hear my girl.
Oh yeah,
I know.
I can see her. That's okay. Hey,
It's got to do it for the sound.
listen, we're gonna have more of this coming. More of these stories. I think these are such damn important stories, and it just even if we connect with one more person each episode than we do, then we're doing good things here. So I appreciate you guys taking this time, you putting this together. You always. I need this man over here, man. He's got some more
He's good,
energy.
man.
He doesn't
He's
know.
good.
He's real good.
Not to say nothing about Shane, but he's good. He's cool. Because the other guy that you had at the other location, he was just really behind the scenes. He wasn't really in it. Like he's participating.
I need
and
some
that's
more
good.
interaction, man. It's just like, of course, your boy wants to be the star. I can't be I'm not a tennis player, man. I can't fucking be the only motherfucker on the court. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You need a team.
I need a team, man. Teams are good.
Teams
Good
are
to lift other people up. That's what we try to do here too. Corny remark, but that's what we're trying to do here. Lift other people up, man. So yeah, if you've made it this far, like, subscribe, comment, share, all that. Thank you for tuning in.